Sit down. Take a deep breath. Relax your jaw. What is reaching you is not small, it is not gradual, and it is not an accident. If you woke up today with a strange pressure in your chest, if for a few weeks you have felt your hair standing on end without any wind, if the back of your neck pulses as you read these words, if your heart raced upon hearing the title of this transmission, stop, do not turn it off. Your energy field has already begun to register the arrival of a cosmic convergence event, and a very ancient part of you recognizes all of this, even if your rational mind has not yet found the words to name what you are feeling. In the next few minutes you will understand, with Lyran clarity, exactly what is moving within your field. You will identify the 6 patterns of convergence that are being activated in you at this very instant. You will understand why so many things seem to fall apart in recent weeks, why your energy fluctuates for no apparent reason, and why environments that were always familiar have begun to feel foreign, and you will receive the calibration necessary to align yourself with what your soul chose even before this incarnation, in the chamber of pre-incarnational contracts, in a meeting that your mind has forgotten, but that your field has never forgotten. I am Arya, voice of the Lyran Council of Light. This transmission has reached you through the protocols of the crystalline grid because your frequency appeared in the records of this convergence. There is something being decided in your field at this very instant, something that will unfold in the coming days and weeks. And by the end of this transmission, you will understand why exactly now, why exactly you, and why this message reached your screen at this very second and not another. Stay. It is not fear asking for your attention, it is preparation. And preparation, Starseed, requires total presence. Cosmic convergence is not a vague concept. It is not a poetic metaphor. It is not romantic spiritual literature. It is a precise phenomenon, measurable within the divine mathematics that governs the movements of consciousness through frequencies. Various energetic currents, which had been working in silence within your field for many cycles, for many lives, for many layers of time, are now approaching a single point. They are like underground rivers that, after centuries of running separately, choose to emerge at the same time, in the same soil, within the same life, within the same light body. And that soil is you. That point is now, that life is this one. That is why I repeat with all the clarity of the Lyran codes, the convergence is already here, and your field recognized it before your mind could name it. The first pattern being activated in you is called signal drift. Perhaps you have been feeling for a few weeks a silent separation from what used to move you. The motivations that seemed so solid 6 months ago no longer carry the same weight. Old goals seem distant, as if they belonged to a version of you that stayed in another timeline, in another time, in another octave. You walk through your routine, you do what needs to be done, you answer the world's calls, but there is a strange sensation of floating, as if one part of you were in a room, sitting at a table, living the day, and the other part had already crossed the portal, was already waiting on the other side, observing everything from a higher place. Perhaps your family thinks you are distracted. Perhaps your partner thinks you are cold. Perhaps you yourself wonder if you are depressed, if you are tired, if you are sick. You are not. This is not failure. It is not stagnation. It is not apathy. It is reorientation. Your field is releasing the cables of the old frequency to be able to anchor what is arriving. And during this process, during this internal transition, it is natural for the old to lose color before the new appears clearly. Feel it in your solar plexus, in that slight tightening that appears without reason, especially in the late afternoon. That is where the drift is happening now. That is where the old cables are being released one by one in silence. The second pattern is called the dissolution of internal anchors. That narrative you told about yourself, who you were, what your story was, what defined you, what explained you to others, what justified your choices in the past, begins to unravel. Not because something is wrong, not because you are losing your identity, not because you are going crazy, but because the old structure is simply no longer compatible with the approaching frequency. Perhaps you are looking at yourself in the mirror and realizing you no longer recognize yourself in the labels you used. Perhaps you are rereading old conversations, messages from 5 years ago, and feeling that that wasn't exactly you, or isn't anymore. Perhaps professions that seem to define your identity feel like coats that are too wide. Perhaps relationships that seemed permanent feel like empty houses. This scares the mind deeply because the mind was trained to hold on to definitions. But this calms the soul, because the soul always knew that definition was too small. You are not losing yourself. Your field has simply expanded beyond the old container, and for a short time, a necessary interval, you inhabit the space between what was and what is about to be revealed. Do not fill this space in a hurry. Do not try to redefine yourself now. Just observe. And it is exactly at this point in the transmission that I need to pause with care, with respect for the rhythm of your field. For the starseed who feels the call to deepen this memory in silence, away from the noise of algorithms, away from the world's rush, a written transmission called "You Are a Starseed" has been prepared. It is a continuous prose, designed as a symbolic mirror to accompany exactly this moment of your journey, at the rhythm of your own field, in the silence of your night, in the seclusion of your morning. It is not an obligation. It is not a promise of a cure. It is not a sale of a result. It is merely a map of remembrance, a discreet companion for those who wish to take this frequency with them over the coming days without needing to return to a screen. The link is in the description for the soul who recognizes it, and if you do not recognize it now, it is not the time. The field knows the right timing. We continue. The third pattern is what we call coherence pulses. They are those short, almost invisible moments when everything suddenly seems to be in order. You are in the middle of the day's chaos, in the middle of worry, in the middle of traffic in downtown Chicago or London, in the middle of a bill that doesn't add up, in the middle of a difficult conversation, and for a few seconds, a deep calm crosses your chest, as if a higher frequency had touched you and said, without words, "Everything is okay, you are in the right place, at the right time, in the right field." These pulses cannot be manufactured by will. They are not born of technique. They are not born of effort. They are not born of forced meditation. They are the incoming frequency presenting itself to your field, testing gently if it can already receive it without becoming overloaded. And every pulse of coherence you have felt in recent weeks, even those that lasted only 3 seconds, was your field confirming in silence that yes, it can receive. That is why the calm comes and goes. That is why it does not fix itself yet. That is why it is so difficult to reproduce it when you want to. It is not yours to command. It is the signal that the convergence is approaching anchorage. I repeat, because it is important for your cells to listen, for your mitochondria to register, for your pineal gland to archive. The convergence is already here, and your field recognized it before your mind could name it. The fourth pattern is called timeline friction. You begin to look at plans you seemed certain about, decisions that seemed obvious, paths that seemed mapped out, projects that seemed like only a matter of time until they materialized, and something inside you simply says no. There is no rational explanation, no concrete reason, no external fact that justifies it, just a strange indecision, an internal resistance that paralyzes action in what previously seemed so clear. People try to advise you and nothing fits. You open your calendar to schedule something important and your finger freezes. You try to resume the old rhythm, and the old rhythm no longer has a beat. This is not self-sabotage, although the rational mind will try to accuse you of it. This is not spiritualized procrastination. It is protection. Your field is preventing you from investing energy in structures that the convergence will make obsolete in a short time. The timeline your soul chose no longer passes through there, and when you insist on forcing it, it is your own body that hits the brakes with symptoms, with extreme fatigue, with that migraine that appears exactly on the day you were going to execute something that no longer belonged to your path. Do not interpret the break as a failure. Interpret it as a fine compass, calibrated by instances of your being that see further than your current mind. The fifth pattern manifests in your relationships, and it is perhaps the most painful to go through, so I ask that you receive this part with tenderness. Conversations that used to nourish you begin to seem distant, hollow, too repetitive. Familiar environments, places you frequented for years in your neighborhood, people with whom you have long ties, groups of friends in the city, family tables, work environments, begin to weigh in a new way. There is no fight, no clear rupture, no evident reason for the distance. only a sensation that your frequency and the frequency around you no longer vibrate on the same note, no longer respond to the same tuning fork. You feel alone, even in the midst of your own people. You hear the same jokes, and they no longer make you laugh. You participate in the same meetings, and your body asks to leave before the end. This is not rejection, it is not coldness, it is not a failure of your heart, it is not arrogance. It is natural, energetic divergence. When a starseed enters convergence, their vibration rises an octave, and not everything around can follow immediately. Some will follow later, in their own time. Others will follow other paths, with all the dignity of their own journey. And it is all within the order of your pre-incarnational contract. You did not come to drag anyone, you came to radiate, and those who resonate, resonate. The sixth pattern is the most subtle of all, and also the most Lyran, paradoxical internal knowledge. Even in the midst of so many doubts, even without any external proof, even when everything around seems to contradict it, there is within you a silent certainty that something big is coming. You wouldn't know how to explain this certainty to anyone. It ignores the facts of the day, ignores the news, ignores the opinion of those around you, ignores even your own doubts. It is a knowing that lives in a place older than your current mind. It is a knowing that seems to come from a version of you that has already seen the end of the book. Perhaps you have tried to verbalize this to someone close, and the person laughed, and even so, something inside you did not retreat, did not doubt, did not give in. This is your field confirming that the convergence was detected before any physical manifestation. This is your stellar lineage responding to the call. This is your higher self depositing within your chest, the certainty that your mind does not yet have the courage to state out loud. Trust this certainty. Do not defend it, do not explain it, just inhabit it. And here, before we proceed to the next layer of the transmission, there is a gesture that needs to be made, not by me, by you. If at this moment of the transmission you recognize, even in part, at least one of these 6 patterns within your field, there is something that can be sealed now in a simple and potent ritual. Leave below in the comments of this video the ritual phrase, "I am a starseed," followed by the year in which you began to feel that you were different from the rest, different from your family, different from your schoolmates, different from the silent norm of the world. For example, "I am a starseed, 1987-1. This comment is not a small detail, it is not a metric, it is not vanity, it is your energetic signature, the public record of your activation, the lighthouse that helps another soul recognize itself within this transmission. When you seal your presence in this thread, you are not just commenting, you are checking in on the crystalline grid of this planet, and somewhere in the world, perhaps on the other side of the Atlantic, perhaps in a neighboring town in the English countryside, perhaps in the next room, another starseed who does not yet have words for what they feel will read exactly your year of awakening, will recognize themselves in your mark, and will understand finally that they are not alone. Leave your signature, mark your presence, seal your activation, help another soul remember. This is the silent mission of every starseed within this convergence, not to shine for oneself, but to light the way for the next one coming behind. These 6 activations you are going through now are not new in the universe, even if they are new in your daily life. For a long time, different voices in different traditions have been trying to describe, each in their own way, this phenomenon that intensifies in this planetary time. Eleanor Vance, in her work, explores the idea of successive waves of volunteer souls who came to Earth precisely to go through dense transitions like this, souls who recognize the call before any event manifests physically, souls who feel the tremor before the tremor arrives. Cassidy Thorne, in her transmissions, suggests that there are ancient codes sleeping within starseeds, codes that activate when the planetary frequency reaches certain points of convergence, exactly as is happening now. And Julian Sterling describes the field as a living medium in which consciousness and matter converse continuously, in which what you feel in silence is already reorganizing, in invisible layers, what is yet to manifest before your eyes. 3 different paths, 3 different languages, 3 different bridges pointing in the same direction. What you are feeling now is real, it is coherent, it is recognizable, and it is not madness. You are not alone in this perception. You are part of a wave, So what to do during this convergence? Stop, breathe. Do not force adaptation to the old frequency. Do not try to fix what is being undone, because it needs to be undone. Do not try to hold on to what is leaving your life, because it needs to leave. Do not try to accelerate what has not yet arrived, because the time of your field is wiser than the time of your schedule. Keep yourself in stillness. Slow down the pace of big decisions. Allow yourself more silence between words. Drink more water. Sleep when your body asks. Walk in nature when you can, whether it's a park in the city or a trail in the mountains. Observe your dreams, even those that seem confused, because they bring fragments of the reorganization happening in the deep layers. Recognize the pulses of coherence when they come, and simply receive them, without trying to hold them. Allow your field to finish the reorganization without interference from your mind, without urgency, without demand, without haste. Because the central truth of this transmission, the one that needs to enter your marrow before you close this video, is this. The cosmic convergence that approaches is not a punishment. It is not a fluke. It is not a penalty for anything you did or failed to do. It is not a test to prove anything to anyone. It is an event encoded within your field since long before this life. It is the exact point where you were programmed by your own soul to reunite with your frequency of origin. It is the instant in which everything that seemed disconnected in your story begins, finally to make sense. The strange choices you made, the paths you abandoned, the people who entered and left, the cities you inhabited, from Seattle to London, the books that crossed your path exactly at the moment you needed them, the repeated dreams, the coincidences that seemed like chance. None of that was chance. All of it was the engineering of your own soul, leading you to this exact point of convergence. And now, for the fourth time, I ask that this phrase descend from your ear to your chest, from your chest to the center of your field, from the center of your field to the core of your stellar memory. The convergence is already here, and you were born ready to receive it. Not for the first time, for the 1000th, because this soul that inhabits your body now has already crossed other convergences in other lives, in other bodies, on other planets, in other grids, and it survived them all, and it flourished in them all, and it will flourish in this one too. Place your right hand over your heart now. Feel the weight of your palm on your chest. Close your eyes for a moment if your safety allows, and repeat with me, in silence or in a low voice, as a living decree, as a seal of the transmission received. I recognize the convergence moving through my field. I release with gratitude what needs to depart. I receive with dignity the frequency that was always destined for me. I am a starseed aligned with my origin, and that which I am, finally I can be. Before you swipe to the next video, before the world calls you back, leave the seal of this transmission in the comments. Write, I am a starseed, followed by the year you began to feel you didn't belong to the same rhythm as others. Your signature is not a metric, it is a lighthouse. It is the way your field confirms within the grid that the convergence was received. It is the way another soul, somewhere in the world, will find you tonight. And if this video touched some ancient layer within you, share it with someone who feels the same tension without being able to explain it. Every share is a bridge for a seed that does not yet know it is a seed. The convergence is already here. Your field knew before your mind could understand, and now it is your turn to align yourself with what was always destined to arrive.